rebuttals?
I'm a libertarian. I'm okay with loose rules. What do you want?
Okay.
So we're going to have a couple of questions here where we disagree, so you need to hear those, I guess, that'd be more important to you. I disagree about the driver's license. I think everyone should have some kind of ID to show who they are, because I live in New Mexico, Texas, and Louisiana, and you have people coming across the border, and they don't have any ID, and you don't know what they're going to do. And I have a fear still from 9/11, and I don't want that happening again.
That only took 30 seconds.
All right. You brought up marriage licenses, and a big issue in other states, a big issue to many people all over America currently is gay marriage. And some states allow domestic partnerships, some states allow civil unions, and I believe we have 2 currently that allow full-on using the word marriage, which technically there's no difference between those 3 terms. As far as the eyes of the law are concerned, you're a legally bound partner. It's like a power of attorney. But should, under the same concept of driver's licenses being accepted nationwide, should marriage licenses for homosexual couples be accepted nationwide if they're legally married in one state?
The government has no business in the institution of marriage. So, you cannot regulate morality, you cannot. The other issue that I have with it is, not only it's a scam, isn't it? I mean, first of all, they require me to get paperwork from the government. Why am I marrying the government? And then they want to charge me a fee to get married. That's between me and my wife. It's not the government's business. So it's not the government's business to track who's married and who's not. It's not the government's business to decide morality issues and to go ahead and play with the institution of marriage. That is something special between 2 people, and it should, and it's agreement between those 2 people and whatever community they want to go ahead and involve, but not the government. Thank you.
We have a system that's been here for the beginning of time. Marriage is between a man and a woman. Marriage licenses are for a man and a woman. Gay and lesbian want to have partnerships. I'm all for that. They should have the same rights as a married couple if they decide that they want to be in commitment. What they do in their personal lives, it's fine with me. They should get the same benefits in a commitment state, but they have to show that they're in a commitment state by doing something that what we have to do as a man and a woman is a marriage license. That way, there's a benefit for health care, there's a benefit for survivor benefits, for inheritance, and it's just a legal aspect of it, because the court of law is going to say, okay, show me some documentation. I don't take word of mouth anymore, a handshake. I want to see paper. So show me a paper that says that you were in a committed state with this individual and you can get their money.
All right, this is technically none of the federal government's business, but most of these questions tonight aren't any of the federal government's business anyhow. But minimum wage. It's currently, every state has a minimum wage, and it's up to each state to set the level. But in general, do you feel that the practice of minimum wage is fine, or is it currently too high or not high enough? Mr. Kelly, yes.
I'm against minimum wage. I think there should be a fair market value, and I think there should be called a living wage. There's just too much emphasis put on this on the federal level, and it needs to be given back to the states, because in the Constitution it doesn't say anything about how the federal government can assign to a business owner how to run his business. It's not in there. The states are supposed to take care of that, and the people will rise up and make their legislators decide, okay, we need to take care of these poor and indigenous people in our land, in our state. And they will. In Louisiana, when I lived there, we had free health care for the poor. There was hospitals they could go to. Texas and Dallas, they had another hospital they could go to. And it was all provided by the state. not by the federal government. And then the federal government's coming in and say, well, you need to do it this way. Well, we're successful. Look, we don't have anybody that's really hurting for medical aid. What's the problem here? Well, we want you to be like San Francisco and Nancy Pelosi wants. No, sorry, I'm Virginian. I'm in the 3rd district, and I want what the 3rd district wants. I don't care what they're doing in San Francisco or New York City or Minnesota. It's what our people here in this district want.
I'm going to try to keep this simple, but it's a little bit complex. I think that in a free and open society, in a free and open market, minimum wage rules and regulations are criminal. Unfortunately, I think that unfortunately at this point, I think that we live in a corporatist state. There are very few people who work for themselves anymore. Most people work for either the government or for a corporation. They've destroyed small and private individual businesses over here. They've done it by taxation. They've done it by regulation. They've done it by certification requirements. But they've actually gone after the mom and pop stores. You don't see them anymore. They've given all the benefits to their lobbyist friends. Because of that, the minimum wage rule right now is a distortion of the market. It's put into place so that the people being robbed from actually get a little bit of piece of the pie. But what we need to get back down to is we need to get down to a free and open society so that we can get rid of the minimum wage laws. I believe right now, unfortunately, we have a very state-controlled and state-centered country, centralized control, and basically the majority of us that work for a corporation or the state, if all of a sudden we got rid of minimum wage, they say, great, here's $1, go live on that.
Thank you. I've got the word small business on here. And trying to figure out how to put this, because so many things have been touched on so far. I like the fact that this is more of an open discussion than an actual debate, you're wrong, I'm right. So
we can put on a show for you if you want.
Oh, yeah, Jerry. So you've mentioned that we are basically a corporatist state. How do small businesses fit into that, and what can we do to help small businesses grow and provide that competition for the corporations that would help,
Well, a small business is fodder in this environment. Right now, you have businesses that come in, a state or local government will pay for the developer. For let's say a Lowe's or a Walmart, I'm not picking on those in particular, but I'm just talking about what's happening. They'll go ahead and they'll try to get one of these businesses to come in. They go ahead and they pay for the actually the taxpayer pays for the eminent domain that's involved to make that happen. The taxpayer handles the developer fee. The developer gets paid by the local government to go ahead and build that building. The lawyers are paid by the local government because they have a legal staff, so they do that for this business coming in. It's all really for the developer. And then what ends up happening is, at the end of it, the business that comes in gets a tax break because they want to keep that business there. Well, somebody's got to pay for the taxes for that, and that's all the small business that was there in the first place. So basically, the small business gets undersold by a business that comes out, and you see your hardware stores go, your mom and pop stores go, and this is what's happening in our country. It's a country of the corporation, for the corporation, by the corporation. And what we have to do actually is we have to make it into a free and open market. There is no reason why a corporation should have individual rights. There's no reason why a corporation should basically get corporate subsidies. We have to get away from giving all this taxpayer money pulled from the small private business and handed to the big business, so that if Walmart can compete on a fair level, on when basically they're not getting all this tax money from the taxpayer to subsidize their business, but they're just starting off at basically the same as a small business, and if they can beat the mom and pop, great, they have a better business model. But we have to actually restore the small business by allowing that model to work, instead of actually doing what we're doing now, which is destroying the mom and pops. And so my quick answer to you would be, after that long rambling one, would be basically get rid of the regulations requirements, get rid of the certification requirements. The certification requirements are only there to prevent the poor and middle class from competing in certain markets. How many poor and middle class lawyers do you know? There's not that many. It's a closed market. That's one example of a white collar union, for example. It's a lock on the system. It doesn't allow people to compete.
Mr. Kelly.
This is the bread and butter of their two BPs, like I like to call them, the big parties. That's where they get their money from. And so they're going to favor the big businesses. One of my jobs after I lost my job at Kimunda was to start up a village market in Delhi over in New Kent. Mr. Scott came in one day because they were showing him the development. He walks in and says, "Hi, I'm Bobby Scott." I said, "Hi, I'm John D. Kelly, and I want you to sign my petition." He didn't sign it. So the next thing he decided to do was talk to the owner. And the owner was a crotchety old man, and he's bent over a little bit, and he had a look at Mr. Scott like this and said, "I'm a small business owner, and I really want loans, and I want this red tape to fix out." And Bobby was saying, "Well, what do you think about the health care? Don't you employees want health care?" And this is before the vote. And the business owner says, "I don't want to," and he used the F word, talk about health care. "I'm talking about small business. I need help right now." So it's affected me because I don't work there anymore, and that small business owner lost half of his investment on that property because he couldn't get through the red tape to help him out. And that's when I go to Washington, when I'm your representative, that's one of the first things that's going to be my top priority is to cut the red tape from the small business owner and get them what they need. And I will listen to them and tell me what they need. It's not me making an opinion about it. It's going to be the small business owner that comes in and tells, "I need this and I need it now." Well, how do we get there with you? Come up here with a few of your other small business owners. Let's make a decision what we need to do and get it done and get the corporations out of Washington.
All right, your rebuttal?
My quick rebuttal to that is I'm never going to be one as a congressman to push loans onto people. Loans is just putting people into debt servitude. Sometimes you're going to need a loan to get a house or to start a business, but we should be encouraging people to actually be able to buy the raw materials that they need and get themselves set up and promote that idea instead of telling them all the time, "You want to go to school? Get a loan. Do you want a car? Get a loan. Do you want to go ahead and start a business? Get a loan." The congressmen that we have are pushers to the American people, and it's disgusting.